Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday here on the Pagan Perspective. This week we're talking about teaching lessons. So this week our question comes from Texas Pagan 1, and they wrote, I have a friend that I'm helping in the pagan ways. They are in need of having a lesson learned, but I am at a loss as to how to teach it. I've asked my pagan friends, and one said to teach the lesson in the form of a game. When they said game, as in force them to make a set number of choices and then explain why their choices were good or bad at the end. I'm not a fan of this idea due to the person I'm helping may become emotionally hurt by what I have to say at the end. Is there a good way to teach a lesson and not hurt the one that is trying to learn? Not knowing what the lesson is going to be something that's relatively difficult to kind of go off of. But in general, when you're talking about teaching something specific to someone else, you have to go with what you know. You can give them all of the information. Whether or not they learn is something that there are tricks to, but it's something that you can't force them to do just by doing it slightly differently. One of the ways that is my absolute favorite way to learn is by having the information that I'm trying to learn applied to a situation specifically. That's one of my best ways to learn, is by reading something and then putting it into practice, and then kind of going off of what I learned from the experience, as opposed to learning something directly out of a book just for knowing it, just for the sake of knowing it. Another way that is really, really good is putting things in story form. If there's information to be learned, and if there is a way to put that information into a story, like for example, the idea of the Eddas being teaching lessons for things that not everybody comes to on their own. Like in the Havamal, it says it is better to not sacrifice than to sacrifice too much. It is better to not make offering than to offer too much and put yourself at a loss. There's a balance to be learned there, and that's one of the things that the Eddas have to say when you read them appropriately. Trying to outthink people is not always the best. It's not always the best plan. It's not always going to work, and sometimes it's going to get you in more trouble than just trying to stay on equal footing with people. That's an example of some of the lessons that I have learned through reading the Eddas, and other various texts as well. There are fables and other various story forms. They're fantastic ways to learn, because there is information in there that someone is trying to put across. Don't go out in the woods at night, and those kind of stories are amazingly entertaining, but also you're learning a lesson in those cases. So I would say, if there is a way to put it into story form and have the person read the story or learn the story, and then take a minute afterwards to sit back and go, okay, well, what did you learn from this story? And then say, well, I'd like you to read it again, but here is the parts that I would like for you to focus on while you're reading. That's a really fantastic teaching tool when it comes to things of a metaphysical nature. Also, I would have to go back to the beginning of what I was saying with read something and then put it into practice. If it's that sort of lesson, that's the best way to do it. If it's something that is absolute knowledge, which would mean that it isn't really something that can do with spirituality, supposedly, because absolute knowledge and spirituality is a one-on-one thing, and there's not a way you can teach someone to do that. Anyhow, these are only a few suggestions. If you have any suggestions of your own, feel free to put those in the comment section. We'd all love to see those. But that's it for me this week. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to put those in the comment section below as well. But thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, until next time, Odin be with you.